Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Get everything you need for your Easter celebration. Safeway makes it easy with spiral sliced ham, fresh spring flowers, and candy for your Easter baskets. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Want to hear about prices going down? If you pay for primo reserved garage parking at the Denver airport, you'll pay $45 a day starting next month instead of $50. Unfortunately, the more affordable lots are getting a bit more expensive. Those prices are going up by an additional $2 a day. The airport says it's raising rates overall to keep up with rising costs. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, a new monument is coming to the state capitol.
That's a beginning of the healing.
What it means for Coloradans and what it will look like. Also, a father asked lawmakers to get tougher on careless driving.
Killing somebody with your car is the last way in Colorado you can kill someone as a misdemeanor.
He's fighting for a new bill to change that. Plus, a local economist speaks to your economic anxiety and what to expect in the months ahead.
People are taking actions.
And a two-time high school poetry champion. It's Wednesday, April 16th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Colorado is finalizing plans to memorialize one of the worst episodes in state history in a really public way. If you visit the Colorado State Capitol building next year, it'll probably be one of the first things you notice as you approach the front steps.
H.J.R. 1024 is adopted.
Lawmakers just voted unanimously to approve the design for a sculpture reflecting on the Sand Creek Massacre. It will replace a Civil War statue that was torn down by protesters in 2020. KUNC's Lucas Brady Woods is covering the story for the Capitol News Alliance, which CPR is part of. Lucas, you spoke with descendants of the massacre survivors. They were at the Capitol when this design was approved this week. One of the descendants told you he was, quote, just beside myself.
Yeah, this is a really important accomplishment for them. It's something they've been working on for decades. One of them is Otto Braidedhair, who was there as a representative for the Northern Cheyenne. He told me when they first started working on getting a Sand Creek Memorial set up, they did not get a friendly response. But now, all members of both parties in both chambers voted for this recognition of the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations and the terrible attack on them at Sand Creek.
There's got to be some kind of acknowledgement, and that's a beginning of the healing.
The Sand Creek Massacre is one of the worst atrocities in Colorado history. It happened in 1864 on the plains in southeast Colorado near the modern-day town of Eads. It's believed that more than 200 Arapaho and Cheyenne civilians, mostly women, children, and elderly, were attacked and killed by U.S. troops, even though they were there peacefully and had been promised safety. One of the lawmakers who sponsored the memorial resolution is Senator Kyle Mullica.
Our hope is that this resolution and memorial will be a turning point, a moment when Colorado says we are not afraid to confront our past because we believe in a more just and honest future.
I also spoke with Chris Tallbear, a member of both the Arapaho and Cheyenne tribes and a descendant of Sand Creek survivors. He was on the Senate floor for the resolution's passage.
Restorative justice. This is a good step towards that. We're not there yet. We still got a long way, but this is a good step.
The new Sand Creek Memorial will stand in the same place where there used to be a Civil War memorial that included a list of names, and on that list, the colonel who orchestrated the massacre. That sculpture of a Union soldier on a pedestal has been moved to a museum. It's remarkable symbolism to replace that with this new memorial to those who were attacked. What will this new sculpture look like?
It'll be big, about 24 feet tall. The artist who will create the piece is named Gerald Anthony Shippen from Wyoming. He told me he wants it to invoke heroism. So it will include 3 figures, a Cheyenne chief, an Arapaho chief, and a Native American woman holding a baby. Each of them will be about 7 feet tall to invoke that feeling of heroism that he wanted to imbue. And they'll be standing near a life-size teepee.
really big. And I imagine it will take the artist a little time to create something that big. When will we be able to see it?
It's expected to be installed sometime next year, though we don't have an exact date yet. And I think that may depend on the artist's process.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
Josh Stewart is pushing for a change in state law.
Yeah, just at a minimum, this just changing it to a felony, making it so if you do kill somebody with your car, if you made choices that caused harm on the road, those choices follow you for the rest of your life.
This is personal for Stewart. A year and a half ago, his son, Liam, was riding his bike to school. Liam was 13, and he was hit and killed by Beth Hutchinson's car at a roundabout in Littleton, near Euclid Middle School.
She was charged with a misdemeanor. She did plead guilty to that misdemeanor, and she was sentenced to, it's just a traffic misdemeanor, so it wasn't much. It was, points on license, $1,000 fine, and community service. So it just doesn't feel like justice.
Now, Stewart is advocating for safer streets, and he's confident that change is possible. Today, the Senate Judiciary Committee plans to hear a proposal to toughen penalties when careless driving kills or seriously hurts someone. A sponsor of the bill is Republican Senator John Carson. He felt compelled to act after hearing about another child's death that happened near his home.
I live in Highlands Ranch, fairly close to where young boy Alex Makowitz was tragically killed, and he was on his way to school, and he was hit by a vehicle that ran a red light.
Carson was surprised to learn just how many people in similar situations are killed in Colorado, more than 150 bicyclists and pedestrians in 2023.
In many cases, you find out that people are not paying attention, or they're distracted, or they're careless and they're driving. And, I just feel like if the ultimate end of that is someone has been killed, it's got to be treated as more than a misdemeanor.
The bill under discussion now would raise it to a felony with more potential prison time, higher fines, and firmer suspension of a driver's license. It would also make sure people get tested for drugs and alcohol. Josh Stewart believes these changes are necessary.
This hopefully will encourage drivers to realize that when you're on the road, you have the responsibility of protecting those that can't protect themselves on the road.
You can read more on the proposed careless driving bill at the link in our show notes. You're not alone if you're feeling unsure about the economy right now. 3/4 of businesses who responded to the latest CU survey about future prospects say they have a negative outlook. Tariffs and the threat of them have created a ton of uncertainty, and there's uncertainty in the stock market. All of those pressures combined are really unusual, says an economist from the Federal Reserve here in Denver. Nicholas Sly is here now speaking with us as an analyst, not speaking on behalf of the bank. Hi, Nick.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I understand that a lot of what you do is talk to people, businesses and consumers and nonprofits, to see how they're responding to all these different types of uncertainty. What actions are people taking right now as a result of this uncertainty?
Well, I think the thing that's inherent in your question is that people are taking actions to it. And that's an important thing to say first. It's not just a shift in sentiment or even some hesitations, but we're starting to hear that businesses and households are starting to take a number of precautionary behaviors or precautionary decisions. On the business side, some things we're hearing is some are trying to run up their inventories to get ahead of potential tariffs or ahead of potential rising costs. Mm-hmm. Some other businesses are viewing their inventories very differently and actually trying to run down their inventories and sell so that they feel a little bit safer ahead of any turmoil that might come up ahead. And so businesses are still looking at this as being, precautionary, but might take very different strategies to approach that.
And on the consumer side?
Households are similarly taking a variety of precautionary steps. Some of it means not necessarily booking that summer trip when kids get out of school or thinking about vacations as they come up, really holding back on some of the travel expenditures. Some of it is maybe trying to get ahead of tariff increases for certain appliances where they expect prices to go up. One that did catch my attention, though, is that we started to hear more and more we started to hear that more and more households are holding back on spending by avoiding some elective health care or some preventative health care. And so you do see households trying to hang on to some cash flow right now and for a precautionary measure.
And that certainly can be dangerous, not what we want to hear.
But it tells us that households are really taking the uncertainty into their own decision-making.
Nick, how might we feel these changes in terms of what things cost, for example? Are we already seeing price changes based on tariffs or even just the threat of tariffs?
It's not as much as how might we feel, but when might we feel some of that? We're certainly seeing some prices of some retail goods or some materials that are coming from abroad already starting to rise. But what we're hearing from most of our businesses is that they're not fully pricing in trade costs or even the trade policy uncertainty yet. And so we might see further price increases in the latter part of the year or into early next year. It's a little bit of a different story for services, though. Actually, those prices have not been growing as fast as they used to be.
I would imagine that people who provide services are aware that their possible consumers are beginning to feel strained.
Yes, and pricing accordingly.
Okay. Nick, you mentioned some variety in how businesses are responding to uncertainty right now, some of them even canceling orders. Does that mean there'll be less stock right now? So if we go to the store, we might notice that there are things missing that we used to be able to get.
Yeah, certainly could. So if you think of a lot of the orders for the clothing and a lot of the orders for the backpacks and things that would be really relevant for the back-to-school season, those are the types of orders that would be being made right now. And if there's uncertainty about what tariffs will be or confidence that prices are going to rise, that can weigh on how much of those orders they're actually going to make for the fall season or even into the winter season.
Do any of the businesses that you speak with or the consumers that you speak with talk to you about what they would like to see happen that would make them feel more confident?
We heard a number of businesses say, having a little bit more predictability would be, I think, would be important.
Nicholas Sly is with the Federal Reserve based in Denver. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, a high schooler from Windsor is getting ready to represent Colorado at the National Poetry Out Loud competition. He first fell in love with poetry when he read I Look at the World by Langston Hughes.
I can always remember that opening line, I look at the world through awakening eyes in a black face, and this is what I see. I mean, I feel like as a person of color, as I am biracial, we can all understand a point in time where we felt that way. And I remember just thinking to myself about how I had never come across a piece of writing that was just so relatable to me personally.
Rise Simmons has now won the state title 2 years running. In the competition, students perform other people's poems as an exercise in comprehension, memorization, and presentation. Rise doesn't write his own poetry yet. In the future, he has a different career in mind.
My interests are all over the place. But I want to be a sports broadcaster, actually, and I'm going to be going to college for sports broadcasting. But the poetry, I'm always going to keep a part of my life just because of where it's gotten me so far. And it's a good, release of, pent-up emotions. I landed on sports broadcasting because it really was a mixture of, all my skills and all the things that I enjoy.
To hear Rise perform Eddie Priest's Barbershop and Notary by Kevin Young, check out the Colorado Matters podcast today. The national competition is in a few weeks. Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Tony Gorman, Nathaniel Miner, and Denverite's Paolo Shalsita. Colorado Today is made possible by listeners like you who support nonprofit local news. Find a link to donate in our show notes. Also, be sure to tap follow on Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.